Yeah, good evening, everyone. So today, last class we have discussed regarding JPA, right? Java Persistence APA. So we have created a employee model object, and we have declared with at the rate entity annotation. So at the rate entity annotation, we can declare for to create to map our Pojo class object with the database table column, right? So now let me start the server. So the moment you declared your class as at the rate entity, your employee class object declared with at the rate entity, then your Pojo class will map with your database table. So let me start the server. So server started successfully. So currently we are connecting with H2 database, right? H2 in-memory database. So in this class, we are going to insert the employee details by using JPA or Hibernate. So, and we are going to insert which database? H2 in-memory database, right? So now let me open in-memory database. So how we can open H2 database? Go to the browser and then localhost H2 console. So JDBC URL. So let me check. I think we haven't configured the URL, right? So if you did not configure the H2 database URL, so the moment you start the server, Spring Boot generate H2 console database URL. So you can see this is the URL created by Spring Boot. So now, every time whenever you restart the server, every time it will generate the new URL, right, for HT memory database. So what we can do, so I don't want to change again and again. So let me go to properties file. We will create constant and then we can connect with that database. So what is the property to connect with what is the property to specify your database URL and username and password? So let me write spring dot data source dot URL, right? So this is the auto generated by Spring framework. So now what we can do? So I am deleting the database name. Now I am giving up my own database. So employee DB. So I am giving database H2 database. I am giving database name as a employee DB. So now spring dot data source dot username. So URL I have given. Next what you have to give username. So username anything. So any username we can give. Root. So let me root or admin. So let me give username as admin. And what is the password? Dot data source dot password is equal to admin. DB admin and admin. So let me save the file. So once you save the files, you can see in console. So our application is connected with employee DB with H2 database, right? H2 in memory database. Now let me log in. So we need to copy the URL, H2 database URL. So from where we can open H2 console, go to your browser, localhost colon slash H2 icon console. So you can give our database URL. So now what is the username we have given? Admin. And what is the password? Admin. Connect. So if you see here, employee table is created in H2 in-memory database, right? So earlier, whenever we are connecting with H2 in-memory database, we used to write SQL script, right? Inside the resources folder, we have created a schema.sql file. So then only we are able to create the database table, right? So now we haven't created the SQL file. Without creating SQL file, so if you see H2 console, employee table is created. So we haven't created the script file. Who is created this employee table? JPA, Java Persistence API. So we no need to create the table in Hibernate or JPA. So it will create for by default. It will create by default. If you declare your entity as at the rate entity annotation, so the class name which you have given with the same class name. For example, whatever class name is if you give, so it will create a table with that name. Okay, so now I have given what is the table name, sorry, class name employee. If you see HD in memory console, so employee table is created by default. So automatically employee table is created. So now for table is ready. So only let me write the code to insert the data and retrieve the data. Okay. So now we need to write the business logic. So if you want in depth, so what is happening? So whenever we started the server, what is happening in background? If you want to know about those details, so what we can do? We can enable one property called spring.jpa.show hyphen SQL. Spring.jpa.show hyphen SQL equal true. So what will happen? Let me stop the server. So the moment you declare this property spring.jpa.show hyphen SQL equal true, so the moment you start the server, so in background, what will happen? So in Hibernate, there is a dialect file is there. So that is internal dialect file is there. So inside that, so what will happen? So uh, it is going to create the table by default whenever server starts. So let me start the server. If you see, oh, I haven't saved the file. Let me save the file. If I start the server, open the console. Yeah, console. You can see. So what is happening? You can see in background what is happening. So drop table if exist. Drop table if exist. Employee table. It is trying to delete if it is available. Then what is happening? It is creating drop sequence. It is deleting the sequence. Now you can see there is a SQL statement is generated. You can see who is created Hibernate. Who is created Hibernate. You can see create table employee. So this is the table creation structure, right? So you can see table is created in this way. So background, you can check what is happening during the server startup. You can see there is a create table employee is auto generated. We no need to create the table. So by enabling this property spring.jpa.show-sql property is equal true. So what will happen? So the moment you start the server, whatever, so for example, as of now we have declared only employee object, right? Employee class. For example, if you have 100 classes, hundreds of classes, and if those classes are specified with at the rate entity, so all the classes which are available in our project, so it will create database table by default. We no need to generate. Okay, so you can see create table employee. So now let me write the code to insert the data and update the data and fetch the data. So where we can have to write? So we need to write in repository class. So I think we have already written find by ID method. So how we are going to connect with the HD memory database? We are going to use a JPA, and how we are going to connect? There is a class called entity manager. So with the help of entity manager, we are going to connect with the H2 in memory database with the help of JPA or Hibernate. Very, very easy, guys. So now, so what we can write? So just find by ID. So we can write to save the employee. How we can save the employee? So let me write the method public employee and create employee. So if you want to create employee, what you need? You need model object, right? From where request will come from REST client, we are going to send the data. So we need to capture those details, right? So employee. So so now we are going to insert with the help of entity manager dot. So there is a method call. You can see there is a set of methods are available. You can see there is a method called merge method. So entity manager is having merge method. You can see merge the state of given entity into a current persistence context. So now here you can see what it will do. If instance is not an entity or is a removed entity. So if there is no transaction when invoked on container manager entity, okay, we need to specify the transaction also. Let me explain you that. So during the insert I will explain you. Okay, so now what will happen? So there is a merge method. With the merge method we can insert the data in h2 in memory database or any database. So let me call this method, and what you need to pass, you just need to pass employee object. We no need to write the query. So insert query we no need to write. So it will generate automatically. The moment you send the request, that time it will generate automatically. So you no need to worry about it. So what is the main feature in JP or Hibernate? So we no need to write native queries. We no need to write normal SQL queries, because Hibernate or JPA is a database independent ORM framework. So JPA is a database independent software. So we no need to depend on SQL queries. Earlier, when we work with Spring JDBC, so we used to write the queries, right? Insert into employee and select star from employee and select star from employee where. So whatever database operations we are performing in JDBC template, we used to write the SQL queries. Where in JPA, we no need to write the queries. So we just need to map our model object with the database table. Then we can perform all the code operations. We no need to write the queries. That is the beauty of JPA and Hibernate. So JPA came into picture to remove dependency on database. So dependency on writing queries in database. So now return. So it will return. So update method will return. You can see update method will return employee object. So respective object. So okay. So now we can insert the data. So here we merge method can use for update and insert. It will perform two operations. So if your object employee, for example, if you are inserting employee one, so what will happen? So if you want employee one, if it is present in database, then it will update the record. If employee one not present in database, it will create the new record in database. Merge method will perform two operations. What are those? Insert and update. If the record which you are going to insert, if it is not available in database, then merge method will perform insert operation. If the record which you are going to insert in database, if it is already available in database, then what merge method will do? It will perform update operation. Okay, so by using merge method, we can insert or update the record. So what will happen if record exists, it will update the record. If not exists, then it will insert the new record. Okay, so this is what happening. Okay, so this is what will happen by calling merge method. So merge method can use for either insert or update. So find by id, create employee. So same method. So you can write. So for example, some people may have doubt actually. So some people can write like this. So create employee. So another method can write here, and you just need to change the method name update employee. So if you want to update also, you have to use same method. Both will work, both methods will do same job. If it is record is present, it will update the record. If record is not present in the database, it will insert the new record. So instead of writing two methods, so what I will do, I will perform with same method, or let it be as of now anyway. We initially let create both different methods, later you can change. Okay, so now find by id, create employee, and update employee. So now we have to find all the employees. So if you want to find all the employees with the help of a entity manager, we do not have any method. So what we have to do, we have to write the query for it actually. So there is a named queries. Named query in the sense there is a we can call it as a HQL, Hibernate query language, or we can call it as a Java persistence PSQ, Java JPQL, Java persistence query language, JPQL also we can call. So now what we can write? So we are going to write the JPL query or HQL query. So how we can write? So let me create it now. How we can create? So let me go to public. So find all. So we are going to fetch all the employees from the database. So it will return the return type of the object. So it will be list of employee. Find all employees. I will explain you what is JPL, what is HQL, or Java persistence JPSQL. So now what we can do? So there is a entity manager. So em, what is the method? Em have given. Okay, entity manager dot. So there is a method called create. There is a method called create named query. There is a method called create named query. We can choose second method. Why? Because we have to return all the employees which are all there in from the database. So this method will return. You can second method will return list of employees. There is a typed query. It will return typed query and based on your employee object. Okay, based on the Pojo class object which we are going to insert in the database. So this method will return list of respective object. Okay, so now create named query. So now what we need to pass it here. So we can see, if you want, if you don't know, just the control space. If you do control space, what it will show? String name. So query name. So we have to give query name and we have to give the respective class name. So query name nothing but just to specify one query named query. So employees, select employees. Select underscore employee. So this is just name, not database, not query, anything, just name. Name of the query, I will explain you later how we are going to write. So here, so we have to specify the, you can see control space. If you do control space, create named query, what is the second argument is expecting? Class type. You can see first argument is the string, second argument is class. So what is the class? So which details we are going to store? Employee details. So this method should have employee. So not needed. Why? Because we are fetching all the details, right? So type of employee. What is that class? Type of employee class. Type of Pojo class. So what it will happen? So create named query. So this query, this named query, we have to specify as part of your entity class. So there is a your entity class, right? Employee entity class. There is an annotation named query. There is a annotation called named query. So here you have to specify that query name. What is the query name? So what the name which we have given here, you can see. So in a repository class, as part of named query method, create named query method, we have given name it as a select employee. So select employee, same name, whatever name which you have given here, same name we have to give in entity class as part of name attribute in at the rate named query annotation. That's it. So now next there is another attribute. You can see it, control space. If you don't know, if you not remember, or if you don't know what all the attributes are available in at the rate named query, just type control space. Then you can see available attributes. Now there is another option called query. So inside that query here, so sir, you said actually we no need to write the queries to insert the database. I am not going to write SQL queries. We are not going to write SQL queries. We are going to write Hibernate queries. We can call it as a, let me note it down, HQL. HQL nothing but Hibernate query language, or Java persistent JP, Java persistent JPQL, Java persistence query language. You can call HQL or JPQL, Java persistence query language, or Hibernate query language. So now, how we are going to write the queries with the help of Pojo class. So JPA, during the discussion about JPA, we are discussing, right? So what we discussed. So what is ORM? Object relational mapping. So your Pojo class will map with the database table name. Similarly, we are going to write the queries with the help of your Pojo class, not your direct query. So what we can do, select or from, just from employee. That's it. So from employee, this should be your Pojo class. This should be your, let me stop the server. This should be your Pojo class. Employee, EMPLOYE. This should be your employee Pojo class. The object which you are going to persist in database, same name you have to give. So if you want, you can give select P from employee P. That's it. Alias name. Select P from employee P. This is not SQL query. This is Hibernate query language, Hibernate query, or JPQL query. So select P from employee P. So now what will happen? The named query which we have written in repository.java. So it will return list of employees which are available in database. Just import your list object. So what it is returning, let me check. Let me check what it is returning. It is returning typed query. You can see it is returning typed query. Let me click that. So it will return typed query. So now what I will do, so let me copy. You no need to remember everything, guys. So if you know the, as of now, let me return null. If you know the method name, only we should know how we can perform select operation with the help of entity manager. How we can perform select operation with entity manager. So if you want to perform select operation, we can use create named query, and with the help of create named query, we can perform select operation. So create named query will have two arguments. One is SQL query string argument, and another one is your class. You have to specify your class. So now what it is returning. So if you don't have, if you did not remember what is it returning, you can see. Just put cursor. It is returning typed query. You can see what it is returning, typed query. Some people will have doubts actually. So this method is returning, they don't know how to write return type also. So how we can, if you don't know what this method will return, what you can do, put cursor on this create employee query. So you can see this method is returning, you can see create named query method is returning typed query of employee. Just copy that, then control V equal, that's it. Control shift O, organize your imports. That's it. There is no confusion to import the return the type of. So what it is returning? Type of query. Let me type QVRY query. So QVRY query. That's it. So the create named query will return a query, simple query it will return. The query which is going to generate in background. So it is going to return the now what we can what we can do, we can extract the results now. We can extract the results. How we can extract the results? With the help of query. So query will have, you can see query will have get result set. You can see result list. This query is having result list. That's it. This is how we can fetch all the employees from database with the help of entity manager. Very easy. Some people will tell like why we need to return this and also why we can't return directly. So how we can do? So if you don't want to fetch like this, how we can do? Just you can do in this way also. Get result list and then return directly. You no need to create local variable. You no need to create local variable. This is another way to return it. So why it's not giving get typed query? Let me check. So it need a conversion. So it need a typecast. If you so no what it is returning. So let me check. Create named query is returning. Sorry, not create named query. Get first result. So get first result, it will return integer. Why I am showing this all those things? You no need to remember anything. If you remember the method, if you want to perform select operation, rest other things, you by looking into the method itself you can perform your operations. That's it will return integer. So some people will by heart the code, public int find employees. So if you want to return public int and then return entity manager dot create query and get result set. So you no need to by heart the code. You should always understand the concept. So what we have did here, we have to perform read operations from the database. We have to fetch all the employees from the database. If you want to perform fetch all the employees from the database by using entity manager, so what we need to do, we have to create named query. So named query with the help of create named query method. So first argument should be named query name type. This can be any name. So you can give any name actually. So it should be meaningful name. So what we are doing here, select employees, right? Right, or you can give select all underscore employees. You can give name it as a select all employees. How we can create named query? With the help of at the rate named query annotation, that is in class level. So you have to create this one here at the rate class level at the rate named query. And named query annotation is having name attribute and the what is the name we have given named query. So select all employees and then query. So what is this? This query should be HQL nothing but Hibernate query language. So I will you can note it down here. HQL in the sense Hibernate query language, or JPQL in the sense Java persistence query language. You can call this query as HQL or JPQL. Some people may ask in interview, what is HQL? So what you have to tell, Hibernate query language. Some people may ask what is JPQL? So JPQL nothing but Java persistence query language. So what is the use of HQL query? So we are going to perform select operations or insert operations also. We can write that is also I will explain you later. So currently we are performing select operation. And so I have written HQL query select P alias name from employee P. So you can so this should be your Pojo class name. This should be as is same. If you give any different name, so it will not work. So you should always query with your class name, because we are working with ORM software. It will always means that object relational mapping. Okay, so we are not going to write direct queries in Hibernate. So that's it here. So now we have written everything, right? So what are the things we have written? Find by ID and create or updates, right? So create employee and update employee. So how we can create employee with the help of merge method? How we can update employee with the help of merge method? Merge method can perform two operations. Merge method can perform two operations. Those are insert and update. So now let me write business logic, guys. We can write business logic. So now we are going to insert the data. So we want to insert the data. What we need to write? We have to create the APIs, right? In employee REST controller. We have already created employee REST controller. So now I am going to create the APIs. So you people already aware of it, right? In previous classes, I already explained how to create APIs. And in controller, you need to declare. First, I am going to let me write find employees. Okay, find employee will always return one employee object, and find employee. That's it. So go to JP repository. So in entity repository, right? So we should declare it as a auto while. Why? Because who is going to create a entity manager class object? We no need to create. So Spring Boot will take care of it. So because with the help of dependency injection concept, so Spring Container will take care of it. So we just need to declare at auto while. And now how we can perform database operation? So employee repository, we have to create the object in the employee REST controller private employee JP. So I think we have written service class also, right? So let me call service class as part of we are following architecture, right? Spring Boot architecture. So let me open that. So Spring Boot architecture. So far what we have written, you can see we have written controller, we have written service, we have written DAO repository, we have written. Which one is the repository? You can see our employee repository. So with the this employee repository will connect with the database. You can see in the architecture employee repository, you can see employee repository will connect with the database. By looking into the diagram, you can easily create REST APIs. Okay, so employee repository is connecting, your repository is connecting database. So repository we have already created. So now during the architecture, you can see during the architecture, so request will come to controller, then controller to service, service to repository, and repository to database. So now we are going to create the controller. From the controller, we have to call service layer, right? We have to call service layer. So now let me create service class. Go to your service class object, employee service. So if you want to declare, if we will create this object, Spring Container. So we have to declare it as a @ component. The moment you declare your service class as a @ component, so Spring Container knows. So it should create employee service class object. So now we are not creating a created a interface. So let me create interface also. So let me install let me write methods. We have to follow the standards, guys. Through interface, we are going to implement service business logic. So now employee service. So what method we are going to write? What are the methods? Public, no need to write the public. So interface this, let it be service. Let me create one interface here. Right click on the package and create interface employee service. So it's not coming. Why? Because I am giving same name as a class, right? So we can do one thing. We will do IMPL. We can rename it as employee service IMPL. This should be implementation class. So whenever you are writing implementation class, some people will follow with employee service IMPL. Some people will follow with employee BOIMPL, employee VO service IMPL. BO in the sense business object, or VO in the sense value object. So here I am giving employee service IMPL. Okay. So now we need to create interface. Now right click on the package, new interface, employee service. Finish. That's it. So now here, what interface contains your the operation which we are performing in database. All the business methods are available in employee service interface. All are abstract methods. So you don't need public. You don't need to declare public, because interface by default all the methods are public only. So let me create employee and find by id. So find by id method will have int id, employee id, right? So now you need to organize the imports, control shift o. So find by id is enough. So what other methods we have written? So find by id and create employee. So create employee will return. So let me, if you don't know, if you not remember, what you can do, go to employee repository, create employee will return created employee object. So now go to your interface, and then again employee create, here create employee. So this will have, we need to pass the input, right? So we need to pass the input employee object. That's it. So sorry, this is abstract method, right? So abstract method. So create employee method also available. Let me create another method. What is that? Update employee. I'm creating all the projects from scratch, guys. You should have practice in at your home. Okay. So now create update employee is done. So now find all employees. So employee list of employees. What will return? List of employees. Find all employees. Control Shift O. Organize your imports. Java util.list. Control Shift O. If you press, all the imports will be organized. So now our interface is ready. Now employee service we need to implement. Where we need to implement? Our implementation class implements employee service. So now this will give error. Why? So the moment you implement the interface, you must override into subclass, right? So now you just click on that, select it. You can see add unimplemented methods. Click on that. So all the methods are available now. So now from here you can see, go to the again your architecture. So sir, in service class, what we are going to write? So we repository. So repository layer is being called from your service class. Repository layer is being called from service class. So now we need repository object, right? So we have to create repository object. So private, so employee repository. Like this, you have to understand and write the code, guys. Don't follow blindly, okay? Employee repository. That's it. So who will create this employee repository object? We are not going to create. At the rate auto Spring container will take care of it. So now repository dots, you just need to return 2D in the sense we have to implement it. Okay. So just remove that, and then now what it will return? So what we are doing? Find by ID. We already have find by ID method in repository, right? Find by ID, then pass that ID, and next another method. Employee repository dot create employee. So create employee method. You just need to pass employee object. That's it. Next, what we are doing? Update employee dot update employee. Just we need to pass employee object. Then find all. So what we need to do? Repository dot find all employees. That's it's why it is not returning, why it is not giving error. This we are not converted from into to list. Why it is returning int find all employees. Let me go to our repository class, find all employees. So because we are returning get results, right? Find all employees. Why it is giving in return? So query select all employees, employee get query results. So otherwise, if you uh, get query result, let me go inside. So it is, since it is returning int, let me find all employees. So we should return employee object, guys. So we should have some other method to set. Why find result? Currently, I am returning find. This is not the method. So let me try. I did not. I forgot what is the method. Let me try. Dot query for result list. It should return query for get. See, you can see this is the thing we have to return. So by mistake, we have written only one find result. Actually, this will always return int. So we don't want that. So our requirement is fetching all the employees. What is that method? Get all list result list. So this is the method we should call. So now this method will return list of employee objects. Now organize the imports. Java dot it will dot list. So you no need to by heart the code. You should always understand the concept. If you understand the concept, whenever some exceptions, whenever any compiler errors, you have to read the error and then you should identify the that particular error. Okay. So now go to your service MPL now. So get all employees. So this is done, right? So now remove this stub, not needed because we already implemented. So yeah, according to standards, right? Whenever you are not writing business logics, that time we will just need to write the comment actually. To do in the sense, so we have to implement the business logic. So since we are implemented the business logic, we do not need this comment. Okay. So now done. Our service layer is ready now. So now what we need to do? We have to call this service from controller. Go to your controller now. So find employee or find employee by ID. Just write find employee by ID and what it is required. How we can get the employee ID from the REST client with the help of path variable or request body. Both the ways we can send. Let me create at the rate path variable. So what we need to do at the rate path variable path variable. So what is that employee ID? It is integer, right? So let me give int ID employee ID. That's it. So now we have to call service layer, right? So we need to create the service class object private. What is the service class name? Employee service. Employee service. That's it. Who is going to create this object? This object is going to create by uh, Spring container. We just need to specify at the rate auto wire. That's it. So now employee dot find by ID. What you need to pass? Employee ID. That's it. And now you have to specify at the rate API name. You have to give API name, right? So at the rate get mapping. Since it is a find by ID, so we are sending as a path variable, right? We are sending input from path variable. So this should be get mapping. So here you have to give the URI name. What is that URI name? My laptop is having some issue. Let me copy string. Where is that? My laptop keyboard sometimes not working. So now employee service controller, rest controller, we need to copy the specify the string. Okay, so now here we can give what is the API name? Find employee. Find employee. So how we can pass path variable? How we can pass with the help of open bracket and curly braces, right? Open and close. So here you have to give employee ID. That's it. So now find employee ID is ready now. So now what we need to create? Another method, create employee. So public. So let me copy. So we can save some time, right? So let me copy. So everybody aware of it, right? How to write now? So that I'm just copy paste. Now we are going to create the employee. So create employee, and create employee we should have employee input, right? So we have to send the employee information from the REST client. So how we can receive at the rate? We can receive at the rate response request body, right? REQUE request body. As part of request body, our employee information will come from REST client. So employee, that's it. So here, which method we need to call? Create employee method. Just pass the employee object. That's it. So now let me create one more method. So update employee. Update employee. So same method. So here we can call update employee. And we have to give the method API names, right? So here it should be create employee, and this should be update employee. Update employee. Why is giving error? Spell mistake or something like that. Let me try control space. Update employee. That's it. Spell mistake. Okay. So now let me connect my charger, guys. Battery is going to dry. Okay, so now created. That's it. I connected the charger. So now we have created find employee, create employee, update employee. So let me create API for delete employee. So delete employee. So delete employee. So you have to create the API name delete employee. Method name should be delete employee. So after that we have to call delete method. Oh, delete method we have not implemented. Okay, let me, as of now, for the time being, let me return null. So we haven't implemented the delete method. So let me go to service class. So in repository we have implemented. Let me check. In repository, yeah, find by, create, update, find. Oh, delete we have not implemented. So let me implement the delete method also. Okay. So repository layer. So what it will return as of now? Let me void. I did not remember what is the return type. So what we can do as of now? Void. Public void. So delete employee. Delete employee. So now here, so entity manager should have delete method, right? So now entity dot manager dot delete employee. So there is no method delete. What kind of other methods? Let me check available methods. There is no delete method. Let me check available methods. We should have delete also, guys. Delete is not available, and then we should have, yeah, you can see there is a remove method. You can see entity manager is having remove method. Just execute that. So what we need to pass? So delete employee. So if you want to delete the employee, we should pass employee object only, because we have to perform with we are dealing with the JPA, right? So we have to pass the object only. So how we can pass the object? So for example, earlier when we are working with the JDBC template, right? So with JDBC template, so we need to pass long ID to delete the employee, because those are all uh, database dependent. So JDBC template is a database dependent. So that time we used to pass direct delete query. So here we are working with JPA, so we should not write the direct query. So we have to pass employee object only. So with the employee object, we have to pass to delete the employee. So how we can get now? So in that case, what we have to do? We have to find the employee first. So there is a method find employee, right? Just you call this one. That's it. Find by ID. So this is the same method. You can see find by ID is there, right? So call that method find by ID and pass employee ID. So this should have integer. So let me int employee ID and then pass that employee ID. That's it. So now here find employee. So find employee, what it will return. So before deleting, what we are trying to do, first we are checking whether employees exist or not. So find employee method will return employee object, right? Employee is equals, now this employee object you can pass. How do you know? So remove method what is it expecting? You can see remove method is expecting entity object. You can see remove method is expecting entity object. So that is the reason we have written find by ID, and then we will get the employee object, then we can pass your entity here. So whatever employee ID we are passing from REST client, that employee is converted to your employee object, entity object, and then this entity object we are going to pass as part of remove method. Remove method is expecting uh, entity object. So that's the reason we have to pass entity. Remove method is expecting entity object. We should pass entity object with the help of find by ID. Okay, so now delete method is ready now. So repository layer is ready. So now in business law IMPL. So let me implement here also. So in interface we have to implement delete method also. So what delete method is returning? Let me check what I am returning currently in repository layer. So let me check what is the what is the return type of remove method? Void. You can see remove method is returning void. So let me return void only. Or if you want deleted employee record, you can return employee also, guys. If you want, you can just type employee here, and then you can return this employee, deleted record employee. This is also you can do. Okay, so based on your requirement, guys, the API, if they want for example, the end user or consumer want delete API, I want deleted employee details, so I want to get deleted employee details. So that time you have to follow this one. Some people may ask, I don't want to get deleted employee details. So some people so don't want employee details. That time what you have to do, just return void. That's it. Based on your requirement, guys. Based on the requirement, we have to return appropriate results. Okay. So let me, as of now, I'm returning void only. Okay. So now let me go to employee service and void delete employee. So here, so you need ID, right? Int ID. That's it. So this one you have to overwrite in your business logic. Just go there, add an implemented method. So from here, you just need to call employee repository dot create employee or delete employee and pass that ID. That's it. Very, very easy, guys. You just need to understand the concept. Go to the controller now. Delete employee. From here, we need to call employee service control space, guys. If you no need to type everything, just emp. If you type emp, available option you can see control space. Select employee service dot delete employee. Here we need to pass ID. Sorry, employee object. Let me pass employee object. So this method, what we are returning here, ID. So since I am expecting ID, then you can return get ID. That's it. So what is the return type? Void. Since this method is returning void, so you no need return type. That's it, guys. So you may have doubt now. So here employee object. So here we are already getting employee object, right? Why can't we pass employee object? You may have doubt. Yes, we can pass that as well. In as part of your business logic, you can pass directly employee object. That employee object you can pass as part of remove method as well. We no need to call find by ID also. So this is also another way. So what I am doing currently, so instead of directly deleting, first I am checking whether already employee present or not. If employee present, then fetch it and then delete that employee. So here we need to have some exception handling, guys. So I already teach you how to handle the exception that you have to write by your own. Okay. So now that's it. Our all API is ready. We can start the server now. Let me start the server. You understood the concept, guys. So go to your architecture. We have written controller and service layer, and then the repository layer. Repository layer is currently connecting with HD in-memory database, and we have implemented JPA entity manager to connect with database. Okay, so now everything is ready. Now I just started the server. Let me check, is there any errors in the console? You can see there is no errors in the console. You can see employee table also created in HD in memory database. So now go to your HD in memory database and then login, connect. You can see as of now there is no records. Employee table is created. Who is created? Hibernate or JPA. So some people may have doubt what is Hibernate, what is JPA. So both are ORM framework only. Hibernate is a implementation of JPA. JPA in the sense persistent Java persistence API. You can think another way. Hibernate nothing but a class and JPA nothing but an interface. So earlier in Hibernate, if you want to insert operation, update operation, we used to write lot of code. So now they are moved that into JPA, and that JP from there we are reusing all they are optimized the code with the help of JPA. We are writing very minimal code. That's it. So now how we can insert the data? So with the help of REST client. So let me open REST client now, talent API. So here create employee. So first we'll check find all employees. Okay. So let me fetch that API is working or not. Find all employees we have not implemented. Find employee, create employee, update employee. Find employee not implemented. Let me implement find employee also. Okay. Find all employees. So what is the API? Find all employees. And then what is the method we need to call here? Find all employees. That's it. So this will not have any input. So what is the return type? List of employee. Organize the imports, Control Shift O, import the list, and then it should return list of employee objects. That's it. So now let me copy this API, go to your talent API. Then, so what is the find employee HTTP request method? It should be get request. So now let me send the request. You can see as of now there is no data available in H2 console. You can see. So I think server is restarted right now. So let me log in again H2 in memory database. Whenever your server is restarted HT in memory database, we have to relog in again. So employee, it doesn't have any data. You can see it doesn't have any data. And we also got the response empty list. We got empty list objects. So now we need to create the employee. So what is the API name? Go to your controller, create employee, copy the API name, go to your browser, paste it, and so we need to pass the input, right? So create employee should have a post mapping, right? So create employee, oh shit, so we have created get mapping only. So let me create post mapping. And what is update employee? Update employee also post mapping. And what is delete employee? Delete employee get mapping. So delete employee, we need to have path variable. So let me have employee ID. Then either post request, either get request. Both the ways you can delete the employee, guys. Okay. So as of now, I want to delete the employee with the help of. Let me copy already here path variable. So with the help of path variable, we can delete the employee. So employee ID, that's it. So delete employee and then employee ID. So find all employees also get method, get mapping. So now everything is ready now. So now let me go to browsers. Let me create the employee. So create the employee. What is the HTTP request method? Post request method. So we need to now we no need to pass the ID. Why? Because Hibernate will generate. So let me remove that ID. So now let me send the request. What will happen now? What are the parameters we have? Let me cross check. So employee is having ID, first name, last name, mobile number, and age. So first name, last name, mobile number, email, and age. Oh, email is not. Email is there. Yeah, email is there. Both are there. So let me send the request. So 500. We got the no entity. So we got the exception, guys, successfully. So what is that? Invalid data access API usage exception. So no entity manager with actual transaction. You can see. So it is clearly saying whenever exception comes, right, guys, you should feel very happy. Whenever some exception comes, you should always feel very happy. So what is the exception came here? Transaction available. So you can see there is exception, no manager with transaction available. So it is clearly saying no transaction available. So whenever we are performing database operations with Hibernate, right? We should use transaction management. We have to use transaction management. So how, where we can use, there is a service IMPL, right? So go to your service IMPL here, or you have to declare it here or repository. Let me go to repository, specify the transactional annotation at the rate transactional. You can see there is annotation called transactional. Why this transactional annotation? In the sense, for example, let's say you are inserting data in multiple tables, let's say 2 or 3 tables. So if you don't do transaction, if you don't do at the rate transactional, so what will happen? let's say you are trying to insert in two records, three tables. You are trying to insert in three tables. So yeah, when you are inserting the data, first table data is inserted successfully. Unfortunately, second table is not inserted. So that time, uh, your transaction should revoke, actually your transaction should roll back. Why? Because so any exception happened in any table, so for that table also should not perform the database operation. So for that reason we have to use at the rate transactional annotation. I will explain you in detail tomorrow. Okay, I will explain you in detail in tomorrow's class. So as of now, let me put at the rate transactional. Let me go to browser and send the request. So you can see employee is created. You can see, right? So we got the success response 200, employee is created. Now go to your H2 console. So since it is restarted, let me log in and then open the employee table. You can see data is inserted successfully. Employee information is inserted successfully. Uh, this is how we have to insert the data in database with the help of JPA or Hibernate, and by using entity manager. Very, very easy, guys. So I will explain you transactional tomorrow. Okay. Thank you, guys. So remaining operation you can perform, right? We'll catch you tomorrow, guys.